1 in 8 adults, when asked in broad surveys across Europe and East Asia, said they would not choose to be born if given the chance. Not 1 in 100. Not a fringe sliver. 1 in 8. That number should stop you cold. Because it means the question we're about to dig into is not just a parlor game for bored grad students. It lives in real minds, in real pain, in real doubt about whether the whole project of being alive was worth starting. And here's what almost nobody talks about when they bring up this idea. The case against being born doesn't rest on sadness or bad luck. It rests on a strange piece of logic. A claim about the gap between pain and joy that, once you hear it, is very hard to shake, even if you end up rejecting it. So let's trace that logic from start to finish, because what we find at the end might change how you think about something you've never once questioned. Most of us walk through life with one deep belief we never inspect. Life is good. Not perfect, we know that, but good. Worth having. Worth giving to the next person. This belief is so baked into us that it feels less like a belief and more like gravity. Of course life is good. Who would argue with that? And there's plenty of reason to hold this view. Think of the moment a child first laughs at a soap bubble, or the ache of a song that finds the exact shape of what you're feeling, or the quiet pride of solving a problem you thought was beyond you. These are real. They matter. No honest person would deny them. But here's where the ground shifts. When you zoom out from those moments and look at the full picture, the story gets more complex. When people around the world rate how happy they are with life, the average score lands right in the middle. Not crushing misery, but not the ringing thumbs up you'd expect if life were the clear gift we treat it as. Rich nations score much higher. Other regions fall well below. The average masks a vast range of lived experience, some of it joyful, much of it grinding. So if life is a gift, it's one that comes in very different wrapping depending on where and when you open it. And that opens a door to the next question. What about the parts of the gift nobody wants? Pain is not a side effect of life. It's a core feature. Not an error in the design, but the design itself. Your body is built to suffer. Nerve endings exist to scream warnings. Illness, loss, grief, fear. These are not rare events that strike the unlucky few. They are woven into the basic fabric of being a living creature. And the scale of it is staggering. Every single year, billions of years of human life are lost or degraded by disease, pain, and early death across the planet. That's not a guess. That's a count. Picture a vast, dark tide washing in from the edge of a bright shore. At first, the water barely touches your feet. Then it climbs. It stains the sand. It reaches your knees. And there is no wall high enough to keep it out forever. This is not pessimism. This is the plain record of what bodies do. They break. They ache. They fail. Now, you might be thinking, sure, suffering is real, but so is joy. They balance out. Maybe one even outweighs the other. And this is where a thinker named David Benatar drops a bomb on the whole talk. He doesn't just say suffering is bad. He makes a claim about the shape of the moral math itself. And it's a claim that feels at first almost crazy, until you sit with it. Here's the idea. Imagine two possible futures. In one, a person is born and lives a life that contains both pleasure and pain. In the other, that person simply never exists. Benatar says something strange happens when you compare these two futures. The absence of pain, the fact that the person who never exists will never suffer. That's a real good, a real benefit. No one is there to enjoy the benefit, but the prevented suffering still counts as a plus. Now flip it. The absence of pleasure, the fact that the person who never exists will never feel joy, that's not a matching harm. There's no one being deprived. No one is sitting in the void, wishing for a sunset they'll never see. The missing joy doesn't hurt anyone because there is no anyone. This is the gap at the heart of the argument. Prevented pain is a true moral gain. Prevented pleasure is not a true moral loss. And if that's right, the math always tips against bringing someone into the world, because you're ensuring real suffering in exchange for pleasures that, had the person never existed, would have cost nothing. Think of it like a scale. On one side, heavy stones. Each one a headache, a heartbreak, a hospital bed, a loss that carves a hole in you. On the other side, feathers. Each one a laugh, a kiss, a moment of wonder. The feathers are real and they're beautiful, but they're light. And when you weigh them against the stones, the feathers barely move the pan. Now remove the feathers entirely. The empty pan doesn't crash down. It just sits there neutral. No one misses what was never felt. And this isn't just ideas floating in thin air. Research backs up a related pattern. People feel losses far more sharply than they feel equal gains. A lost $100 hurts more than a found $100 helps. The weight of the bad outpaces the weight of the good. Our own brains seem to agree with the gap, even if we've never read a word of Benatar. So what do the antinatalists do with this logic? They take it to its full endpoint. If the gap holds, then choosing to have a child means choosing to impose certain harm on a new person. Harm that could have been fully avoided by simply not creating them. The pleasures that child will feel are real, yes, but they don't offset the harm because their absence would have cost no one anything. It's like a gift box wrapped in bright paper tied with a perfect bow. You hand it to someone with love and good aims. They open it, and along with the beautiful things inside, smoke drifts out. Smoke that will follow them for the rest of their life. You meant well, but the smoke was always part of the package, and you knew it would be. But let's not pretend this argument goes without a fight, because the pushback is fierce and it's smart. Critics zero in on the exact same gap and say, wait, you're rigging the scale. You claim that absent pleasure isn't a harm? Think about what that means. It means that a world without music, without love, without the electric thrill of learning something new, that world isn't worse than ours. It's just neutral. And that feels deeply wrong to most people. The critic's strongest move is this. The pleasures of life aren't just extras. They're not feathers. They're bonds that shape who you are. They're the experience of growing, of choosing, of becoming someone. Thinkers stretching from Aristotle to modern ethics argue that a life well lived is more than the mere removal of pain. It includes real goods, friendship, purpose, courage, discovery, that cannot be reduced to zero just because no one would miss them if no one existed to feel them. And then there's the consent problem, flipped on its head. Yes, the unborn can't agree to be born, but they also can't be harmed by not existing. There's no wronged party in the void. If a child is born into a loving home, given care, given tools to handle suffering, that child will, in most cases, endorse their own life. They'll be glad they're here. Doesn't that count? A striking experiment tested something related. People were offered a choice. Step into a machine that would give them a perfect life of total bliss, fully faked, with no real experience at all. Most turned it down. They chose the real world, with all its mess and pain, over fake perfection. That suggests something deep about human nature. We don't just want to avoid suffering. We want to be real. We want the rough edges. We want the stakes. But here's the wrinkle that keeps this debate alive and prevents either side from claiming victory. The antinatalist argument works best when suffering is extreme and can't be avoided. When a child will be born into war, into genetic disease, into conditions where joy is scarce and pain is crushing. In those cases, even many critics pause. The easy confidence that life is always worth starting gets quieter. Remove the extreme conditions, though, and the argument loses its grip. In a stable home, in a peaceful society, with access to healthcare and learning, the stones on that scale get lighter. The feathers start to matter more. The gap, which felt airtight in the abstract, begins to wobble when real human lives push back against it. This is where the antinatalist case reveals its own limit. It treats all lives as if they carry the same mix of suffering and joy. But they don't. Context shapes everything. A way of thinking that ignores context, that treats the birth of a child in a war zone and the birth of a child in a loving home as morally the same, has a blind spot. And that blind spot matters. What this debate really does, at its best, isn't settle the question. It's reshape it. Before running into antinatalism, most people never think of parenthood as a moral choice. It's just what you do. What's expected, a natural step. But after sitting with this argument, really sitting with it, the act of bringing someone into the world starts to feel weightier, more on purpose, more deserving of thought. And that shift is already showing up in the wider culture. Birth rates in most wealthy nations have dropped below the level needed to hold the current population steady. Groups focused on the climate are quietly folding family size into their plans. Medical ethics boards are starting to ask what NAR-informed parenthood might look like. Not just health screenings, but genuine thought about the moral weight of creating a new mind. None of this means antinatalism will win the argument. It probably won't. Most people will keep having children, and most of those children will be glad they exist. But the question, The sharp, uneasy question at the heart of this thinking will linger. If this made you rethink something you've always taken for granted, there's more at this level of depth on the channel. Drop a comment and tell me where you land. Not what you think you should believe, what you actually feel when you sit with the question. That crowded theater we started with, the one where 1 in 8 hands goes up. Those hands don't prove the antinatalists right, but they prove the question is real. And sometimes the most important thing a question can do is refuse to go away.